nervous?
No.
Where's your answer?
Dennis Beckham, let the ball on! Dennis Beckham! Dennis Beckham! Dennis Beckham! Dennis Beckham! Oh!
Oh, no! Oh, yes! He missed it.
Welcome to the Suffering from Joy podcast. My name's Devin. Haven't talked to you guys in a while, so we're trying out something new today. We got some Austin FC news, some maybe news, some not news. We got a schedule drop, all sorts of stuff going on. Joining me today, we got the full panel. Scott, how are you now?
Good, and you?
Not so bad. How's your winter break been?
It's been nice and relaxing, and as much as like days really don't matter in this time period, they've really not mattered when you only get New Year's Day off and your week is split in half.
Oh yeah, that's no good. Got to at least cut out early on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, no, that was my in-office day, and it was I had to and they like actually like track that, and so I had to actually like go into the office on New Year's Eve when I was also hosting New Year's Eve.
Like traffic, I guess.
The one kind of positive.
Yeah. Also with us, Seth, who knows everything. Seth, how you doing?
I am somehow on Central Time right now, which is kind of remarkable after 10 days in India and 5 days in the UK.
Yeah, I think we'll come back to your UK trip in a little bit, but and we'll hear about India, I'm sure.
Yeah.
What are you doing in the Central Time Zone?
What am I doing in the Central Time Zone? Well, I'm back home here in Chicago and went and saw some college hockey last night. I made it through 4 6 periods because, college hockey, when it's 25 when it starts with a wind chill of 16 and the wind chill drops to 8, no matter how many layers you have on, if you don't really, really care about it, it's hard to stay all 6 periods. And the second game last night ended up going to 8 rounds of penalty shootouts for Notre Dame to beat Penn State.
Yeah, and you were outdoor at Wrigley Field using the same rink that the St. Louis Blues destroyed the Blackhawks on New Year's Eve, right?
Yes, that is correct. But different boards, but the same rink.
Interesting.
They took down all the boards from that because they were not were not Big Ten approved. There was no actual advertising on the boards, even though there was advertising on the rinks, and obviously Wrigley Field is a walking advertisement. But it was kind of weird to see that.
Yeah, and I mean you were outdoors in Chicago, so it was maybe a little windy.
A little windy, and yeah, I mean, right now it is, let's see, I think it is 16 outside with a wind chill of 3. Yeah, we're up to 4. The wind chill is up to 4 right now.
Yeah, what are you complaining about?
Yeah, I mean, hey,
hockey weather. Good old pond hockey weather.
It was much better proper hockey weather than what the Blues had Tuesday night.
Yeah, that was like 40 and rainy. Not great. Rounding out our panel, Brad, how you doing?
I'm good. Much like Seth, just rounding back onto Central Time after getting back from the UK a couple of days ago. So I think today will be the day that I finally am fully back on normal time and get to the new year with working. So good stuff.
Was seeing the sun again weird?
Yeah. I think I saw it for a total of 10 minutes while we were there. So
yeah, that's about right. All right, well, I guess let's jump into it. We'll do the schedule drop first and just kind of do some quick hitters on that. There are a couple potential signings we'll get to in a second, but initial thoughts, my kind of main takeaway is that the scheduling office is still very lazy. But any thoughts from you guys kind of generally?
Yeah, I was a little disappointed in our Eastern Conference away days, that there are 5. So if we look at it, that this year, San Diego FC has joined MLS. They are going to be an interesting roster build. I'm not quite sure how that is all going to come together. So, but it's MLS, so you never know if they're going to be good or bad. So we do have a lot of fans excited to go out there May 31st. I expect right now, based on the travel interest survey, there are way more people interested in going to San Diego than there are for either the Frisco or Houston away matches, which is the first I've ever seen any match outnumber Texas matches. I mean, DC actually did in 22, but the initial survey didn't have that, which is pretty interesting to see. I also thought that of the 5 there were 2 Eastern Conference teams that have never played a match at Q2, Atlanta and New England, and they both got scheduled at home this year. So every team will have played at Austin, with the weird exception of the Chicago Fire, who have the U.S. Open Cup but not in MLS. And somehow, for 5 years in a row, Austin and the Fire have not played each other, which is kind of insane. of the 5 teams that we haven't played on the road in the Eastern Conference, FC Cincinnati was the only one of those 5 that was scheduled this year, which seems bizarre to me. But honestly, DC and Montreal aren't terrible away days, so not the end of the world, but a little surprising.
Yeah, DC's a good enough away day as far as like going and enjoying an experience. It's just going to be the worst time of the year to be in DC because it's the swampy, muggy time of the year in the middle of the summer. So we caught it the first time in April, which was great, and now you're catching it at the absolute time where you honestly probably don't want to be there. But going to Montreal in August, perfect.
Go see some hockey. I guess it's a little early, but they may have QMJHL.
Well, and not during an F1 weekend for them, which was the problem 3 years ago.
Or the film festival.
Well, I was also just thinking it's not going to be 105 degrees up there in August too, which will be great.
Yeah. I mean, we were in Toronto during their film festival. It wasn't bad.
Maybe that's what I was thinking of.
There's just a lot of people walking around in tuxedos and gowns.
It just drove.
Why are you here?
It just drove up hotel prices, is what it was. Yeah.
Well, people walking around in tuxedos, like you mean pure denim, right?
Yes, the Canadian
tuxedos.
That was how you could tell who was Canadian and who wasn't from there. Was anybody who had like an actual tuxedo was clearly not. That's the. Yeah. Now going back to like your laziness, like how many years have we played San Jose on decision day? Is this 3?
This is only the
I think
second.
it's 3.
Second.
But the other 2 were Colorado, though, right?
Colorado at home twice. This will be our second time with San Jose on decision day. 2021, it was at Portland.
Yeah.
Oh, Portland. Okay, that was the one I was missing.
That was a match that I don't think any of us cared about or watched. But that was probably the lowest watched Austin FC match in the history of the club.
I watched it, but I retained
we brought like 150 fans to Portland. That is absolutely nothing.
Did we?
Yeah, we brought it. That was where everyone got COVID.
Oh, that was the COVID Portland trip.
That was the one where everybody got COVID when they all went and sang karaoke afterward. Yes.
You guys are getting all the hot tips now. Don't go sing karaoke if you're in Portland. We once again.
Also, don't be in large groups during pandemics, I guess, is the other takeaway.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you really want to be in like very confined spaces where air gets stale and like recirculates between everybody's mouths. It's definitely how you avoid respiratory illnesses.
Yeah, I was thinking also, like, it always feels like there's always 1 week where we play Houston and Dallas back to back. Usually, like, that's like the same week, or it's like there's like a midweek match doing it, but we got that again.
Yeah, so they moved rivalry week from May to August.
Yeah, and at least we got that spaced out by a week instead of a midweek with a weekend match. Like, they're actually like back-to-back weekend matches at home in that August stretch. So we'll play 3 of our 4 Copa Tejas matches in the span of about 4.5 to 5 weeks at the end of the season. With the only one not being that time frame being a trip to Houston in April, which not the worst thing to have to go to Houston in April before it gets too awful down there.
And I think our only 2 home match week is in May, so that might be before it gets scorching hot. But
I mean, bearable.
Yeah, I'm excited for Atlanta to come in. I hate that Atlanta's in on a Wednesday. They treated us so well when we were there. I was hoping to really return the favor and get a big group from people in Atlanta coming in. And I know a friend of mine who probably will be flying in who's an Atlanta fan. But that makes it harder on them, which kind of sucks because I thought that'd be fun. I'm personally really looking forward to the Cincinnati away day. Seth's hometown, so if you do go, you're going to get the full like Seth tour treatment, which will be amazing.
Yes. Yeah, we will, and we'll see. I mean, if people want to come, we can promise lots of bourbon. And
but the stadium the stadium looks great. The atmosphere looks really, really fun for MLS, and that's what I'm excited about. I'm probably not as big of a rush to go to San Diego as others, because it's going to be an every year trip. So I don't know that the first year I'm going to be in a bolt to get out there. And quite frankly, some of the things that I'm interested in San Diego are probably, I might be the only one who's interested, right? Like there's a certain golf course out there I want to play. I want to go see some horse racing if we can't ever get it timed at the right time to go to Del Mar. Like I have other things that I'll be waiting on when the time comes to go to San Diego personally. And my philosophy with road matches too is try to knock off as many Eastern Conference teams as possible because the West isn't going anywhere. But some of these Eastern teams don't come around often, as we've talked about with not going to Chicago yet. We still haven't been to Columbus. So when I can hit off an Eastern match, I try to.
Yeah, I would recommend you do the Cincinnati trip if Seth's leading. I went to the U.S.-Mexico game there a couple of years ago, and Seth was like, "Here are all the cool things to do." If you stay near downtown, everything's pretty walkable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
nice and easy.
Seth, do we know if the Reds are in town that weekend?
Reds are not in town that weekend.
Boo.
Yeah, boo.
Wait, what about the Dayton Dragons? Because we can go 50 miles up the road.
We could. I will have a call.
We can go see some of my old stomping grounds in the Midwest
Let's
League.
go look. Let's see our Dayton Dragons schedule. I haven't been to a Dragons game since I was in high school.
I can show
This
you
is
all
the
my
only
old-
podcast you'll find that looks at the Dayton Dragons schedule
Dayton
live.
Dragons are
This
at
is great
home
content, by the way, while we search shit on the internet while we're live.
Yeah, so the Dayton Dragons are at home that weekend. They're playing the Great Lakes, and I don't even know who the
Balloons. They are in Midland, Michigan. Beautiful little
God.
town in Michigan. I called the game when they opened their stadium because they were playing the Lugnuts. So I was there the night they opened the stadium. Dow Chemical
Sorry, they were
headquarters.
playing the who?
The Lansing Lugnuts, my team that I used to
Oh,
call.
okay.
And the Dow Chemical headquarters is behind right field in Midland, Michigan. It's a beautiful ballpark. Dayton also has a great park, holds about 10,000. And at least back when I was doing games, they sold out every single night. Did not matter the day. They did not matter the time. It was sold out. Yeah, we should definitely detour 50 miles. Let's go.
And let's do it. I'm gonna put in a time off request to go up there that weekend.
Yeah.
I was thinking about doing San Diego, but I may kind of take Brad's advice and not be the experimental one and go a different year because there are like 300 people down there. I kind of want to get the lay of the land first, and I assume a lot of us are going to want to try to do all the same stuff. So
Yeah, Montreal is the other one that's really high on my list
Mhm.
this year, besides Cincinnati, because I just had so much fun in Toronto last year. Montreal is even more. It's an international city that I've heard great things about. I'd love to go check it off the list. Just kind of depends on timing for me because I've got some other stuff planned around that time of the year, but hopefully I can make that one happen.
Get the poutine.
Yeah, but-
Authentic.
Yep.
The other big thing that I noticed is we have a lot more, or seems like we have a lot more afternoon games this year.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
MLS actually did something smart in that with the exception of July and August, it looks like they have put 2 focus windows before the 7:30 window on Saturday, and most Sundays have 2 matches. And many of those are in the afternoon.
Oh, they finally listened to us.
Yeah, amazing.
On that note, are we expecting season ticket holders to get free Apple again this year?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay.
I think that we already got sent that code.
No, we haven't.
Oh, did we?
Oh, I thought I said something in SeatGeek about signing up already.
No.
Maybe I missed that.
As someone who dropped
Okay.
his season tickets, I could not tell you. So
Yeah. I didn't see one, but that doesn't mean we didn't get one.
Well,
I
it's also that
deleted
thing
a
of
lot of
like they
random
probably
marketing
won't
emails.
announce it. It's probably also that thing that like they won't like remind people until closer to the season, but like once your season tickets technically kick in, like or they're paid for, it counts.
we're
Yeah,
But it's
also
probably on the same. It's probably on the same like rolling calendar that last year's was.
Yeah.
getting what is our now traditional St. Louis Sunday afternoon match at St. Louis. So,
Yeah, I don't have to go home again.
Yeah.
Happy to provide places for everyone to go, but oh guys, it's Sunday. I can't take a Monday off work. Oh damn, sorry, can't see my family.
Yeah, the beauty is you actually could fly home right after the game.
I could, but
Yeah. Why would
I'd
you?
have to like
That
rent a
sounds
car
terrible.
and store all my shit in there during the game, and
Yeah.
it'd be a whole thing. Plus, we got too many other away days to hit, and we're going to Winnipeg in November anyways, so I got to save an away day for that.
I think we've confirmed that the FIFA International window is at the same time as the Grey Cup, so that is good.
Yes, for those who are out of the loop on this one, this group has decided that we are going to our beloved CFL Grey Cup next year, which happens to be in Winnipeg. So we're hoping to see many Rouges for the championship. The Grey Cup is essentially the Super Bowl of the CFL. So that should be great. Because when you get an excuse to go to Winnipeg in November, you should absolutely do it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but like, Saint-Tropez in April and, Manitoba in November. Same thing, right?
It's great.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not a ton outside of Winnipeg either, and it'll be a fun time. Maybe we got to see if there's like a Jets game around then too, whenever the schedule drops.
That's gonna take a little while for the schedule
Yeah.
to come out.
Yeah, I mean that'll be July probably.
Yeah, that'd be fun though.
So,
All right.
So, any other
signing
schedule
here?
stuff you guys want to talk about?
Not really. Nothing else really jumped off the schedule to me, or jumped off the page to me. It was like, okay, outside of the Eastern Road matches, everything else seemed pretty normal. Nothing
Yeah,
good.
and there's no like obvious like tough week or two based on like who you expect to be good. Like everything's kind of generally kind of spread out.
I have
So I
no.
mean, we're not taking like, I mean, there's like Seattle and LAFC back to back, but like I don't know, like is Seattle gonna be good? Is LAFC gonna be good? Like you
I
know,
don't even know what our roster looks like right now, so
yeah.
Yeah.
it's hard to know.
Wow, good segue, Brad. We did say goodbye to a lot of people. I think all people nobody was really expecting to hang around. Maybe Alex Ring, but I don't think anybody's surprised he walked. A lot of nice goodbye messages from folks. We did make one signing already, Ilya Sanchez, who I heard a rumor he was around the Barcelona Academy the same time Roto was working there. I don't know if there's any truth to that. Seems roughly math correct to me, but 34-year-old, you know him from that annoying commercial that they play nonstop during MLS games. Um, Kind of a holding defensive midfielder, 1+1 contract. Doesn't look like he's taken up any TAM or that sweet, sweet GAM. Seems like a great move to me. MLS veteran,
Yeah,
locker room guy.
I have strong opinions here because there is a segment of our fan base that I'm about to call out, and I don't care if I piss you off. Anytime we sign someone over 30, there is a segment of this fan base who will go absolutely bananas all because of the name or the number next to the guy's age. You're a fucking moron if you do that. I'm just going to put it out there. And I don't care if I piss you off because let's look at the quality of the player. If I tell you that we're going to sign Messi tomorrow, are you going to tell me we don't want him because he's what, 37, 38? Of course you want it. Okay. Is Ilya Messi? No, of course not. But Ilya is still a really good player in MLS who started 24 matches for one of the best teams in the league last year. Who, if you just go back 2 seasons, y'all remember that 4-1 ass whipping we put on LAFC? And then the 3-0 ass kicking we received in the championship game in the Western Conference Final? The biggest reason was the fact that Ilya did not play in the first game and did play in the second game. He completely changed the way we went through the midfield. He is the type of veteran leadership this team desperately needs. And do not be shocked if he comes in and immediately takes the armband. Like that is a good signing, especially on a GAM contract. So some of y'all open your damn eyes and watch the league and stop watching just a number besides a freaking age, please.
Yeah, and you did mention Messi as we're contractually obligated to do from all of that MLS money we get. He's being
Yes, of
awarded the
course.
Presidential Medal of Freedom
Well,
today.
that's how we get extra TAM.
Yeah, we actually personally get TAM for the show.
Yeah.
Every time we mention Messi. But the other thing on the Sanchez contract is it's 1 year, and then we have an option for a second. Like I understand if you sign a 36-year-old to a 3 or 4 year deal, people getting pissed off about that,
It's
especially after the Zardes debacle. But like he's on a year, and it's not like he's not a winger where he's losing pace. He's basically a guy who kind of hangs around the middle of the field. He's not a crazy end-to-end box-to-box guy.
no,
He's played without elite pace his entire life. So
Yeah.
he's your Alex Ring defensive mid replacement. That's what he is.
Yep.
He's also someone who can control the pace of the game to help play it at the pace he wants to play it at. That's the benefit of somebody like Sanchez being in your midfield. I don't know, I think it's a great signing, especially for a team that like only really had two midfielders under contract. Like he's the kind of person that you can build a midfield around. I think he's gonna be a great partner for Danny, who can really stabilize and let Danny kind of have a little bit freer reign to run around and do stuff and cover him in a way that Danny's not really had since like maybe Alex Ring like 2 years ago, which Austin really needs. I mean, one of the best ways to tell like how good a move is just to look at like the other fan reaction, and like the LAFC fans have just gone like ape shit angry that they're letting him leave, which is always great.
Yeah, I mean, it's really funny. It's like since LAFC has watched some of their front office go to the Galaxy win MLS Cup. Oh yeah, we haven't done a podcast since MLS Cup. Congratulations, LA Galaxy. And that it's just like this LAFC in free fall is one of the more fun narratives to watch in the league. Even though they were still pretty good last year, they'll probably still be pretty good next year.
Yeah, I mean they have sort of infinite money to an extent, so I'm sure they'll fix a few things up. But I mean the other big thing is Danny's still like he's much more mature and a much more developed player, not as much as we'd like than he was when he was a rookie. Owen's still young. That's a very important position to have like an adult around
Yeah.
for other guys to kind of lean on.
It also
Well, and-
frees up Danny and Owen to play higher up the pitch.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is what we all have been wanting. And when we saw it towards the end of the year, good things were happening.
Well, I mean, that's
So-
what Mike LaHood told us. He's like, fucking unleash Danny. Go, 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 go.
Yes. There's so little downside to this signing. And the folks out there who are complaining about age and things like that, I don't understand you. You're the same people, by the way, who love Felipe. Do you want to know how old he was when we signed him 2 years ago?
I mean, he was on a supplemental even.
Yeah.
Like, but
Yeah.
I think that's the other thing is that like you talk about like having an adult in midfield. Like
Yes.
this team has lacked leadership for multiple years now. Like we've never really replaced that like Ruben Felipe like leadership structure that and is really and we've seen like how much that hurts like the actual play on the field the last two seasons.
Like I said, I'm
this
not
has
gonna
been a
be-
rudderless team, and like we need to have a rudder.
Like I said, I am not going to be one bit shocked if your captain on day one of this season is Ilie Sanchez. It makes tons of sense to me.
No objections here. I mean, I don't think we have like let's not do the Driussi thing again, but like, there's nobody that jumps out like maybe Dessler, but he's also brand new, played a month or two with the club. Like, it might be one of these newer guys that Roto's been bringing in, or we can get into the whole, should it be Stuver? I don't like when goalkeepers have the armband thing, but like, as far as an outfield player, yeah, no problems for me.
No, and honestly, as a six, like you're gonna be near the action most of the time, anyways. And he's fluent in English and Spanish. That also is something that matters to being a captain of a team that, especially as we look back at 2023, had a super divided locker room. And if we want to get the most out of Sebastian Driussi, yes, there's rumors that are sending him back to River or to Estudiantes, but like, he's probably going to be here this season. And if we want to get to that world of unlocking Driussi, maybe not getting him back to fully 2022 levels, but getting him back to being one of the top 15, 20 players in the league, having people like Ilie, hopefully Brandon Vasquez, like this should hopefully help here in building an ecosystem that makes him feel comfortable and be able to perform at his best.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Brandon Vasquez, so let's jump into that one. Like, my reaction to the Ilie thing was very much the same. This is a great signing. It's pretty much no risk. Leader, bilingual, like you said, league experience. But the one thing this team needs is goals. So Brandon Vasquez, and like, are we thinking he's actually going to get terminated by Rayados, or
No, I think we're going to have to
this
pay
is
a
gonna be a
transfer
purchase?
fee. He'd be the third DP, so this team would go with the 3 DP, 3 U22 route, which at this point makes sense. Yes, I'd love the extra 2 million in GAM from the 2 DP, 4 U22 route, but we have 0 U22s on our roster right now. Trading ourselves to 4 U22s when we have 0 of them and we have 4 senior roster spots left makes no sense at all.
Here's the other thing too. The U22 hit rate is really low in this league. So the safer play, even though it can be more expensive, is actually the 3 DP route. So I would love the game as well, but you get the opportunity to sign a proven striker in MLS who's just now entering his prime. You take it.
Yeah. Like the other thing to think about is that like, yeah, you're paying the transfer fee, but he's 26. And like if he comes back and like lights up MLS again, like you'll make that money back on the transfer fee anyway. Like it's such a no-brainer to sign him to add to what we currently have in the attacking depth chart because he's a perfect fit with what we need to do and who we need. Like I think you saw a lot in like Austin FC fan base of just being like really excited about it because it is a like dream fit for us. Like if you make a list of like reasonably possible strikers that we could get, like he's the top of the list.
So,
Yeah, he's big, he's strong, he's fast. He scores crosses. Go ahead, Seth.
He's 26.
I'm gonna throw a couple red flags in here. If we look at his 2022 Cincinnati season, it was much better than his 2023 Cincinnati season. In 2022, FC Cincinnati had Brenner. Brenner was designed as the number 9, and Vasquez was playing a little bit more as a 10, but they were really playing a lot of times 2 strikers, and that they required Brenner to sort of draw the defenders, and that Vasquez would go up against the weaker center back or sometimes against wing backs, and that's where he was really taking advantage of his opportunities in an 18-goal season. In the first part of 2023, FC Cincinnati didn't have Brenner. They did sign Aaron Bupenza, who, talking about a DP bust, holy shit. But they did have another striker there, and he started to do a little better there. this makes me question. I mean, under Josh Wolf, we were playing a 4-3-3 pretty consistently. Sometimes it would be a variation of that. What is Nico Esteves going to be playing as a formation for our team? Because with a guy like Brandon Vasquez, you don't want him to necessarily be a lone striker, and that makes me wonder what Driussi's role is in this, or if there's something else coming that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, but Driussi's not a traditional 10 either, you know what I
Yes.
mean? He's more of that second striker role, so this could be a really nice partnership between them. Um, I see, especially if we move Danny up to the 8 this year and he plays more consistently forward, Danny and Bukhari, I think, are going to be your chance creators on this club. And um, Vasquez and Driussi will end up being your finishers, which that's a dangerous combination if you could make it work. Because Danny can make chances or can create some chances through the middle. You got the speed with Bukhari on the outside who can take guys one-on-one. Like, it makes things very interesting, and it's going to pull defenders away from your goal scorers on the other side. And both of those guys can also, we know Bukhari can score. Danny, when he wants to, will take a shot and get one, and he just haven't had too many opportunities in his few years here, but we know he has the capability to do so.
Yeah, and going back to the Nico discussion, like, at FC Dallas when he had Musa and Jesus Ferreira available, like he did use them in kind of like more of a dual striker system. And I think Driussi's smart enough and a good enough passer, along with Vasquez, that they could create that. I just think Austin's going to be more of a like re-attacking front with like Bukhari a lot more freedom, especially on the right side to get forward. So I'm kind of interested to see like how if Driussi is able to stay more central, if he's pushed left a little bit more, which kind of happened last season. But ultimately, like the biggest thing for this is that Driussi's not the kind of player who can beat somebody or who regularly beats defenders one-on-one with the dribble. He needs somebody to play off of. He needs a like passing partner, and this is light years ahead of anybody he's had to play with in Austin. Like if you just look at like the raw goal numbers of strikers for Austin FC versus Vasquez, even including like his like 2020 season when he was age 21, like there's a level to this, and he is so far beyond what Austin fans have seen up front.
But I think you just hit on it, Scott, for me, which is Driussi's not the guy that beats guys one-on-one, but what he does do is read a play very well and find space and figures out where the ball's going to be, where the ball's ever there. And with a guy like that, if you have a Vasquez and you have a Bukhari and even a Danny and whoever else pulling players and defenders out, it's going to open up more space for a Sebastian Driussi. And then when defenders have to actually start paying more attention there, which they've been doing over the last few years and kind of negating his ability, because the team has basically been, hey, Seba, go make something happen, and that's not his game. I think you're going to see a return to form for him because he can get back to playing the kind of game that he is good at, which is that pouncing second attacker goal scorer.
Yeah, and especially if we have speed on the outside with Obrian and Bukhari, you have Vasquez kind of, crash the goal. That cutback ball should be there all the time. And that's what he likes to finish. So
yeah. And once you just start getting into like the math of like how teams are gonna have to defend that, like the idea being that like Bukhari has the ball on the right to cross it, like suddenly like that left winger is just like one-on-one against the fullback at most. And like in theory, that should be a place for Obrian to, now that he's like fourth option instead of a leading goal scorer, like he could really feast there.
Yeah, and we have fullbacks that can cross the ball too. So like Brad was talking about, maybe the defenders knock it down, but
but the other thing I'll say is that CJ Fodry, we've seen him a lot on FC2 use his size and his physicality on the back post, and I think that we could see that more this season at the first game.
Yeah, I could see him and Obrian kind of splitting time a lot more down the left side. Because CJ is more of a natural left winger than Obrian is. Obrian's more natural on the right side. It's interesting when you think back to opening day this time last year, and where this roster was compared to where it is now. How much more optimism I think most everyone should have going into this season as far as what the roster has. We have a really nice center back piece in Svatak to anchor the back line. Who's going to be the second center back? I don't know. There's rumors out there that Väisänen might be heading out relatively soon, which he's been disappointing since he's been here. I still think he's a very good center back, but he just can't stay healthy, which has been a big problem. And I think he was being asked to do things he's not comfortable with, which play the ball at his feet. That's just not something he looks like he wants to do too much. Obviously Dessler at a right back has just been a massive upgrade that we saw towards the back half of the year last year. He just brings a calmness to this team and a creativity to this team down the wing back side, or the right back side that we haven't had. And then in the midfield with Iligay playing that sixth position, you're really looking at it now where Owen is your off the bench 70th minute difference maker, or Adania, depending on whichever the game is going to be. Like, you can use guys so many different ways in the attack now, because I think our back 4 and 5 is so much more solid going into this season than we've ever had. That I'm excited to see where we're going to go. And then if you look at what Nico did up in Dallas, like, in many ways, they were a defense first team. Like, they were a team that were going to shut you down before they even worried about the counterattack, before they worried about scoring. So I think we're going to have an opportunity to surprise some people this year. I still like to see how the rest of the roster rounds out, because we do have some spots available, and it looks like we're still looking at another midfielder potentially. But I'm excited right now where this team is potentially heading, and what Roto has done in 3 windows has been impressive. And people I know also always want to shit on Precourt, but you have to give him a tip of the cap for being willing to write the check to get rid of Zardes. Yeah. That's $1 million check that a lot of owners in this league aren't writing.
Yeah. I mean, I think he gets hit for not, being a cheap owner, but I don't think that's accurate. He just buys shitty players for a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just because your players are bad doesn't mean you didn't spend money on them, especially in MLS.
Yeah. Well, I think some of it also comes from crew fan complaints of things that were going on at the stadium, which,
Mustard.
I understand being mad if there's not mustard available. I get that. That's where it's rioting about. But I don't know. I don't think the problem in Austin has been spending money. I think the problem has been the people who've been spending the money are doing it badly.
Yeah. Yeah. As a Man United fan, you have no idea what that's like.
Hey, but we saved a bunch of money by not paying the stewards, or not paying old United players, or not sending staff to the FA Cup.
Or just not going to charity anymore, or
not letting the captain pay for those things, because it'd be a worse PR disaster, and then everybody found out that he offered anyway. Great one. The vibes are great. At United.
Yeah. Speaking of, since we're doing Premier League, the way I'm looking at this, especially if we sign Vasquez, I would like to see us play a lot like Nottingham Forest, where you kind of have that super speed on the outside. You've got a kind of bigger striker who has some touch. On the inside, you kind of mostly play sit back and hit him on the break. See a lot of similarities between, say, Gibbs White and Driussi.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a bad role model to look at.
Yeah, I like the idea of using Driussi or Danny as a link out of the counter, as those guys being able to just especially Driussi, just being able to hit that ball to speed on the outside, and then he's still fast enough and in shape enough to make those long runs, which we kind of saw in that Nashville game, which I think was kind of the first time we realized that Bakari was fast. And that game easily could have ended up a 4 or 5 Austin win had they linked up a couple of those passes, and hopefully that we see a little bit more of that, and it's a little more successful, because that is a great way of just winning in MLS that you see a lot of times is, as soon as a team gets stretched out, you have pace and they don't, and you're in on goal. I mean, LAFC's or LA Galaxy are a great example of that.
We keep bringing up Driussi's name, but how much credence do we give to the rumors right now of going back to Argentina?
I mean, I said it earlier, I think that it's mostly noise. I mean, if he isn't in that role, then suddenly a lot more options come available. But I think we'll get some clarity on that in the next few weeks. I would say there's an 85% chance he's here, which, I'm not discounting it, but I think he's here.
Yeah, I mean, the River thing happens every year. I can't imagine Tio Tony would take the money Estudiantes would be offering.
I'm not concerned about Estudiantes. I'm a teeny bit concerned about River, because River would actually pay. But yes, the Argentine economy is doing better, but it's still Argentina. this is a guy like having to deal with that type of pressure, wanting to bring your family back with 2 young kids to Argentina right now. That's a choice.
Yeah, he seemed to get visibly annoyed by the pressure here last year, and I don't think we actually have to talk about in the past or talk about like the difference between here and Argentina. He's openly talked about it in interviews before, how it's just a calmer level in life over here. So it surprises me that he would even remotely think about making that push right now if he wanted to go back at this point. But he's always said too he wants to finish his career back at River, so who knows?
Yeah, but that's not his age profile right now.
Yeah.
That's
I
hey
think
guys,
those,
look, I'm back for a year or two. Like,
yeah, I think those rumors are going to persist every transfer window until it actually happens. And it doesn't seem he's given no indication that he is like ready to go back. And I don't think that would make sense for Austin to sell him after the last 2 seasons he's had. Like if you're going to sell him, like you'd want to load up on offensive talent and like sell him that.
Yeah.
yeah. And how sure are we were getting Vasquez?
I'm at the 95% level.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a question of like finalizing transfer fees, finalizing salaries. It seems like, I mean, Vasquez isn't training with the team. I mean, the way I see us losing this would be to another MLS team that comes in with an even higher offer, but I'm optimistic that we will have Verde smoke by like Wednesday.
Okay, but we can't officially put the
Can't
transfer
officially
through.
register him until the end of January, but just like he can train with the team during preseason and all of that.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't even play a preseason match until early February. But we
Yeah,
might have actually, I think we probably will have a few matches earlier, but you might not be able to play in those, but whatever.
Yeah, with the Vasquez thing too, I wonder how much Thomas Pochettino has said for the U.S. team, and Vasquez is obviously trying to work his way into the conversation for being a striker.
Mauricio Pochettino.
Mauricio Pochettino. Sorry, that if he's going to evaluate guys, he values playing time versus what league you're in necessarily. And Pochettino's been to Austin. He's seen the facility, probably has a comfort level of what's been here. I almost wonder if that maybe played a little more of a role too in Vasquez choosing to come here, because we do know that San Jose was interested as well.
Yeah.
Does playing here with the facilities, with the fan base, with the stadium, all that kind of stuff matter more versus playing for like Bruce Arena out in San Jose?
Yeah. Well, yeah, like going back to like, I think his transfer is 100% happening, because if he's not training with them for training camp, he didn't go with them for preseason, like he's absolutely gone. I think like Seth said, it would just be if somebody like hijacked it late. I mean, the fun thing is that you talk about preseason matches, but like January 19th there's an open practice, and like getting him in before that and having him like debut in front of the fans there would be a really great be great for the vibes for the fans, like going into the season of like, oh, we have this guy now. Like that would be a great move by the club if they could get it done and get him here by then.
Yeah. I mean, look at our shiny new toy. Maybe don't focus on the coach. That would be, from a PR perspective, definitely a win. And, I think we're all going to still go in with a bit of hope this year, but having like a fucking striker for the first time in 5 years would actually help.
And also, like, I think Nico's done as much as he can to try to get the fans on his side so far. I think he's already demonstrably done more than the previous coach ever did. And so I think fans are at least like willing to give him more of a shot than if he, came in and was just like, yeah, I'm the coach now. And then like, we didn't see or hear from him until the first of the season, which I think would be weird, but
yeah, I'm still not a fan of the hire, but he's done nothing to like make me not give him a chance. Right. So, cause I don't get to decide who we hire. So at this point, he's not being an active asshole. He's actually trying to do some outreach. He's done some social media stuff with the team already. Apparently he's making phone calls as well to like season ticket holders as part of a reach out campaign. So
I'm not shocked I'm not on that list.
Yeah. So he's done some nice things, and Nico has so far pushed every button the correct way as far as the fan base goes. Ultimately, he's going to be judged on what happens on the field. And I think his contract reflects that more so than in the past, because he does have a short lease contract. And I think these signings that we're starting to get are indicators of Roto is not putting up with bullshit if you're not producing. at this point because I now have given you ingredients and players to go make something happen. This is a team that, as constructed already, and there are still pieces that have to come out. This is a mid-table Western Conference playoff team right now. I think, like this is a 6th, 7th place, maybe a little higher. Like they can do this if we get the final couple of pieces correct.
Yeah,
I actually think our
if we get Vasquez in,
ceilings.
go ahead.
Oh, I think our ceiling's higher than that.
Yeah, I think if we get Vasquez in, 7th slot is the bare minimum.
Yeah, we should expect the playoffs with this roster as constructed right now. Right now, no questions asked.
Yeah, and I mean, like injuries, fine, whatever. We'll deal with those as they come. But yeah, I think this is has to be in the playoffs, like the real playoffs, not that play-in game shit.
Yes.
Yeah. So a couple other quick hitters. There's a strong rumor about Fafa Picault, who did not end up coming. I always find him an entertaining guy to watch, but I don't think I'm too over the top upset that he's not going to be here.
Yeah.
Also, I think Miami makes sense for him. Like as a player and especially somebody who's older, who, has played for the Haitian national team, is going to, he talked about family reasons, and some people are kind of like, oh, the family reasons are messy. But it's like, no, actually, if you look at like his family and where he's from, like going to Miami for family reasons makes a lot of sense for him.
Well, and Miami needs some of those low-cost league GAM guys.
Yeah.
Because of the way their roster is constructed. It's so top-heavy. So that's a ton of sense for them. And I'm sure he took a discount to go to Miami for family reasons and for Messi-related reasons, right? So
yeah.
Yeah. I think we're all kind of about on the same page there. Another link to 26-year-old DM from Djurgården and the Swedish Allsvenskan. Besart Sabovic. Don't know a ton about the guy, but he's a minutes eater, 6 kind of guy.
Sounds like
one of the
Portland's
3
way
big
ahead
clubs
of
in
us
Stockholm.
in bidding for him. So I don't think we're going to end up with him.
Yeah, so I saw that rumor, and then it seemed like that kind of disappeared. It was just maybe he's going somewhere in MLS.
Yeah, I mean, Portland needs as much defensive structure as they can get. Like that's the biggest.
Well,
that's their big question for the offseason.
I don't know if he wants to sign here with Ilie coming in and basically having kind of first rights on that spot.
Yeah.
So any other transfer rumors or anything I'm missing out on?
I mean, we still have a number of roster spots to fill. I feel like this will be pretty active over the next 2 months, which is exciting. I'll be curious if my guess is we fill all but one of the spots in this window, and then we probably wait for one more signing in the summer window.
Yeah.
And I mean, we still have a DP spot available, right?
What's that?
We would still have a DP spot available.
Well, if Vasquez would take the DP spot.
Yeah.
Well,
and then we'd still
Bukhari, Driussi, Vasquez.
Oh, sorry, I forgot about Bukhari being a DP.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's also a very like MLS roster construction of like, hey, we'll have a bunch of like GAM and TAM guys for the defense, but like all the offensive talent is DPs.
But I don't think any of us thought that we'd get Dessler on a GAM contract, but we did, right? So if Roto can go find me more guys like a Miguel Dessler in the summer, then hey, you know what? I'm all for it.
I mean, I think this is the first time that like going into an Austin FC season, I feel better about the defense than any other position group, which is really strange just because, we have adults, like we have Svatak and Dessler and whoever the other center back is and Biru. And like, if Biru is like your worst defender, then like you're doing really well.
Yeah. And you think about, we still have Heinz Ike on I'm assuming a team-friendly contract, despite, I know we re-signed him in the offseason, but I can't imagine we gave him. We talked about it before the season ended. You could double that guy's salary and still have a very affordable player who was productive for us last year because Conte's back there. I'm still not convinced Vaisanen's here past the next window.
Yeah, I mean that's also like if we fill all the spots, like I could definitely see him being transferred out in the summer European primary window.
Yeah, and I mean it's possible Julio's gone too.
Yeah.
There's always kind of that rumor in the background. I don't know. He may come summer one out just because he's not playing as much.
But like, who do we think is the starting back line? Because I think 3 of the positions are pretty locked in. It's unclear to me who is the second center back come opening day.
I mean, it's hard to tell with the new coach, but I would think it's Heinz Ike.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, with Nico, like I said, he really prioritizes defensive posture over can you play with your feet compared to Josh. So because Conte probably got more minutes than he necessarily needed at times because he could play with his feet well. I think that's going to lean more towards Heidenreich being a starter over Cascante. But I think those two are going to see pretty consistent minutes among each other.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's really interesting. One of the things we didn't talk about in the schedule piece of this is that because we have 30 teams in the league, there's actually fewer match days than there are in the past. So we only have, I think, like 4 Wednesday matches the entire season right now. We obviously, huge caveat, we don't know what the US Open Cup looks like. We don't know what the Leagues Cup looks like because MLS gonna MLS. I mean, opening day, we are recording this on a Saturday morning, January 4th. 49 days, 7 weeks from opening day, and we don't know what our midseason tournaments look like.
Is this another year where we're gonna have to wait till like the season starts to know the playoff structure officially?
I was just about to go there. I assume that we will get a rules release like a week before the season. I assume it will be the same structure, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
Look, we don't
MLS
root
gonna
for MLS.
MLS.
I would say we don't root for MLS because it's the best league. We root for MLS because it's the most fun league.
Yes.
And we enjoy
It's
the
like watching the
chaos and the
championship.
ridiculousness that, like, yeah, like you have to embrace the ridiculousness of MLS. Like,
See, Scott, that is a very, very good preview for the
Yeah.
English team that I'm going to reveal for later of who I am now supporting. So that's perfect.
Yes.
I think we should do that right at the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, no, but I actually think it's a good segue to our England trip here because
Yeah, let's go.
in these matches, Brad and I watched matches from the Premier League, from the Championship, from League One, from League Two, and Brad even watched a match from Dulwich Hamlet.
7th division, baby.
that's amazing. That was like a junior high stadium.
Oh my gosh, it was
Yeah.
amazing. So, all right, let's start from the
No,
beginning.
but so I wanted to make one point, then Brad, you take it over here. It's just like I feel like one of these things that we hear about a lot is like, okay, where does MLS fit into? Like, if MLS were a league in England, where does this fit into? And it's clear that the quality of play in the Premier League is way beyond what we're seeing in MLS. Honestly, of the championship match we saw, like if we were to throw Austin FC against that championship match, I would say it'd probably be slightly towards the lower end of the championship, but definitely better than League Two, and frankly better than what we saw in League One. So like,
Oh yeah.
I think comfortably, like of what we saw, like I would put MLS in maybe probably the lower half of the championship based on that sample size of seeing it live versus seeing on TV.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. Because we were having a discussion at the League Two match we were at was could FCito beat this team? And it was a legitimate from a skill, and the answer was from a skill position or from a skill level, FCito's better. But playing against grown men who are just out there punching each other, they're probably going to lose.
Yeah, that's what I always say when you see like this hotshot 16-year-old prospect go on loan in the championship, and they're like, "Oh, well, he's not getting a lot of playing time." It's like, well, because a bunch of like 35-year-old dudes are kicking the shit out of him. That's
Yeah, like there's a
But,
basic
like-
difference between like playing with 16-year-olds and playing against dudes with like beards and ex-wives. Like that just
Yeah,
matters.
yeah.
Like,
But like I have never watched more physical, awful football in my life than League Two football.
that's the whole point.
It is
Yeah.
like
that sounds
you
so much
are-
fun.
Are there it's like watching roller derby, except that it's on grass.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Seth went to 4 matches. I went to 6 because I got there a couple of days ahead of him. I landed on Boxing Day. I left Christmas evening and landed on Boxing Day. Put my stuff down and immediately went to 7th Division Dulwich Hamlet. On recommendation from Seth and our good friend Brian Mangum, who has also been to Dulwich. It was packed crowd because it was Boxing Day. Dulwich, by the way, a really cool little neighborhood. Like really nice houses and some cool pubs, things like that. Now, the beauty of Dulwich Hamlet is because it's 7th division, you're allowed to drink while you actually watch the game. Because anything in the football league, of course, you have to drink your drinks out in the concourse. You can't bring it to your seats. Well, there's only a few seats at the stadium there. So when I say drink while watching the game, I mean leaning up against the rail that is 2 feet from the net while watching the game with a beer in my hand. At one point, a ball got kicked out of the stadium above the goal, got caught in a tree, and someone just climbed the wall and pulled it out of the tree and threw it back into play. It was just fantastic. There was another stretch where within 10 seconds, the team playing Dulwich hit one off the bar, got it right back, hit another one off the underside of the bar, bounced out, and then the third guy hit it over the bar. All from within the 6-yard box. Beautiful, terrible soccer, 1-0 game, Dulwich wins. This would be a theme, by the way, of clean sheets for the entire stretch. There was only, out of the 6 matches I went to, 1 was not a clean sheet. So Dulwich was just fantastic. I loved the experience. Got to talk to some randoms. And the question, and the funny thing was, everybody's like, you just got here, you've never been to England, and your first thing you did was went to Dulwich. Everyone around me was just amazed that I was there. But if you go. If you get the chance, just go to Dulwich. It's $10 to go. Totally worth it.
That's southern part of London, right?
Correct. It's kind of between central London and Crystal Palace.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of give you an idea. So the next day, the next game I went to after doing some sightseeing during the day was thanks to Devin, got hooked up with an Arsenal ticket.
Yeah, and by the way, Arsenal tickets are notoriously hard to get. I sort of lucked into this one, and it took us about half an fucking hour to get it transferred over to Brad.
Yeah, it was a nightmare to get it fixed, but it worked. Ticket worked, and I'll tell you, of the Premier League, we went to 2 Premier League matches, and we'll get to the other one later. I thought the atmosphere at Arsenal was, from a in-game perspective, the second best atmosphere I experienced all week.
Good.
I
was not a great game.
No, it was a terrible game. They played Ipswich Town. It was 1-0. Arsenal was kind of not great. Ipswich was awful and wasn't even trying to play for the first 50 minutes. And then the final.
Yeah, Ipswich looked happy to lose that game 1-0. Only 1-0.
Yeah, there. It was what. But we were sitting right above the. I was sitting just above the Ipswich fans, and they were loud and having a great time. I love the way the Emirates is built to hold in noise. And I was also really impressed with the atmosphere. Like, people were chanting, people were singing the entire game. That was not the case at some of the lower league matches we went to, which I was disappointed in. We'll get to this later on a couple of places. And it was definitely not the case at the other Premier League match, partially because of what happened during the game on the field. But I think my favorite memory from Arsenal is going to be pregame, where I was at a pub that I randomly walked by. I was heading to the pub, Devin, that you told me to go to.
Tollington.
The Tollington. And on the way, I look into a TV. I look in to see a TV that has Navy versus Oklahoma in the bowl game. So I'm like, oh shit, I can pop in and watch football for a minute. I'm going to do that. I'm the only person watching football. And of course, everybody starts asking me questions, and start explaining the trip to them. And a group of lads say, well, can we buy you a Jaeger bomb? And I'm like, no, but I'll take a straight Jaeger shot because I hate Red Bull. And they looked at me weird, like, okay. And then the next thing you know, I'm getting 2 Jaeger shots handed to me. I'm supposed to take back to back. And they kept wanting me to do more. And I'm like, guys, I do want to remember this. I paid a lot of money to be over here. And one of the other guys in the group then looks at me and goes, you want to toot? Meaning, I got offered cocaine before the match by some Arsenal fans. 10 out of 10 experience. Did not do the cocaine, but loved the whole vibe. The people were great. I thought the neighborhood was cool. I thought the stadium was great. And absolutely, I think I understand Arsenal better. And while I am not choosing a Big Six team, if I were to choose a Big Six team, I think Arsenal would be towards the top of the list.
Okay, good.
One thing I'm going to tell you, though, Devin, the reason I probably wouldn't choose Arsenal is that I don't support the monarchy. And you clearly do.
The Queen was a West Ham fan.
I'm just saying, I went to the Tower of London, and there is a whole thing that says the Arsenal with cannons and everything. The logo's there. I'm just saying, it's there.
Yeah, the club was founded by people who worked in the Royal Armory. That's why the logo is a fucking cannon.
I know. I'm just giving you shit. So now we have to take a break, though, from the soccer. Saturday night when Seth arrives.
Yep.
For what turned out to be the wildest of events for the entire week. Seth, you want to take over?
Yeah, so I landed in from India and went straight to the darts. The darts is just incredible. So you take the overground a little bit past the Emirates up to the Alexander Palace stop. And before we walk up the not insignificant hill, as it was described to us, and not insignificant would be a very correct description of that hill.
Worth noting, by the way, this is the World Championship for the darts. This is like the World Championship tournament.
So how the Darts World Championship tournament works is it's sort of similar to like March Madness, except with 90, actually, it's what the NCAA sort of wants. Instead of with 64, 68 teams, there are 96 players that go in, and the top 32 seeds get buys to the second round, and then everyone else starts playing for the first round in. What is different about darts, and this darts tournament in particular, is that as you get into the tournament, the matches get longer and longer. Like the first and second round, you play 5-set matches. By the finals that were last night, it was a 13-set match. And like it can go for a while. As you go up to the alley pally, as they call it there, we decide to stop by the pub before the match, as you should do anywhere else. And at that time of the year, the darts, they play an afternoon session and an evening session. So a lot of people are doing both. And honestly, if you were to do a double header of the darts, or if you have darts season tickets, like if you did every day of the darts for 3 weeks, I don't think you'd have a liver.
Yeah.
Like
So is the pub next to the venue or in the venue?
No, it is next to the train station, and then you had to
Okay.
climb 15 minutes up the hill to the venue.
Yeah.
We walk into the pub, and it is just like you've like literally like went through a portal from normality to like what the fuck have I gone into right now? And it is just everyone is I'm trying to remember the first song there, but it's like I know within like 2 songs.
Oh, it was Fireball. It was Fireball was going on with Pitbull. Yeah.
Yes. And you're just like, okay, we're going from there. And it is just, we have the Batmans next to the Waldos, next to the Teletubbies, next to the jockeys. And at least the Batmans turned to us. There's like, we're fucking weird, aren't we? And we're like, yes, you are.
That's awesome. Yes.
And it is fantastic. And it was, the pub was rocking. Brad is learning the words to Will Grigg's On Fire, even though it has been, 8 years since Will Grigg played 0 minutes of Euro 2016.
Along with Yaya Toure.
And Yaya Toure as well. But yeah, so it's like, okay, you get in the mood, you walk up the hill, and you walk up into the Alley Pally. The Alexander Palace is a beautiful old, yes.
Let me pause you real quick. So, on the walk up the hill, guys, we started talking to some folks, and they're like, why are how'd you get tickets? And we're like, oh, we're American, they overpaid. Like, why are you're just come for the darts? Like, no, we're actually here for a bunch of matches. And he goes, what do you call it, soccer or football? I said, soccer, of course, in the States. And one of the guys in this group of 2 or 3 of them, one of the guys starts yelling at me, he goes, no, it's football. It's always football, blah, blah. I went, no, you call it soccer too. And I get this weird look, and he kind of looks mad at me. And he said, no, we don't. And I said, yes, you do. What's that show on Sky Sports called on Saturday mornings? And he said something else. His buddy goes, you mean Soccer Saturday? And the guy who was yelling at me, you see him pause for a second, and he looks at the sky and just does a full, no! It was amazing. You could tell like he was kind of upset with himself that he just got corrected by an American on their game. So yes, please continue with the Alley Pally set.
Yes. So you walk up in the Alley Pally. And getting in there is the most intense search process I have ever been involved in my life. I mean, the crowd at the Alley Palace, you can imagine, is about.
I've got the third base.
What's that?
Yeah, I've got the third base.
I was just like, it took a good half hour to get in there. I'm like, you probably just touched my balls here. Like, this is, and I did not see a single female attendant there. Like, if some of these women were searched like that by male security guards in the United States, there would be a straight on like police filing about them. But they need to make sure. But that being said, there's plenty of alcohol inside there, and they are American level of shameless about wanting to get the money out of you, to the point where a pitcher, which is exactly 4 pints, is the exact same price as buying 4 pints separately. And the amount of people that we saw just like drinking from pitchers like they were pints I have never seen that in my life, of just like, wow, like that's 32 quid for a pitcher. Like, and I will say Neck Oil is a decent beer at least, but like that's over $40 for a pitcher, and people were just drinking them like they were drinking pints. I mean, we didn't see the final report from this year's darts, but on average, the Alley Pally seats 3,200. They get about 90,000 people there over the entire tournament. Over 500,000 pints were consumed last year.
Yeah, with betting kiosk right in the middle of that too, along with food and things like that as you're walking in. So you can certainly place your bet on the darts right before you walk in, and they're playing darts, and then you can put your bets in as the darts are going. It was crazy.
Yeah. So we were up in the stands, and the stands are the poor people stands, because most of the people there, and I mean, don't get me wrong, we paid as much for darts tickets as we did for all the football matches combined, if not.
Yeah.
Like, because we had to buy off the secondary market, which is technically illegal, but We got in. So there's a as we went through that, it was you would start having the chants inside there where I would say 70% about English culture and about 30% about the actual darts.
Which, to be
Okay,
fair, somebody
can I
at
interject with a question about the darts real fast?
yes.
So is it where is it staged? Like, is it at like an auditorium or is it just like
So the Alexander Palace is a like rock concert venue most of the time. So it's
okay, that makes more. I'm
part
trying to
the
visualize
BBC,
like what
part
this
like
looks like.
BBC radio station because it's on the highest hill in central London, and it is part like concert venue. So like there was a big open space that was where the food concessions were, where the bar was, and then the theater itself is like maybe I would guess probably about 1,000 to 1,200 people on the tables and probably about 2,000 people in the stands. Does that sound right, Brad?
That's about right. Yeah, that's about right. And it's this really ornate, beautiful building as you're walking up to it. But it's definitely, you can tell it's kind of like almost a convention type thing too. Like it has several different
Okay.
rooms, and they basically took one of the rooms and made it into the darts thing that they do. It looks
that
much
makes
bigger
more
on
sense.
TV than it actually is.
And well, like you have to remember, it's a regular sized dartboard. Like these guys are like 6 feet away from the darts. So like without two jumbotrons, you couldn't actually see what's going on with the darts. Like you could see the guys walking up and everything like that. But like, yeah,
To be fair, as we were at the bar, one guy said, "Yeah, I've been coming to the darts for years. I've never actually seen a dart thrown."
Okay, I was going to wait for you guys to finish, but I was going to ask at the end if the darts are the least important part of the darts.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Nobody actually gives it, except for like, and the thing is, we saw the two guys who ended up being in the final. Like, we saw the two rock stars of the sport play in our session, and still they had their own chants and everything, but still, like half the time you're not actually paying attention to what's going on.
yeah.
So
I
do
mean, you
people
have
sit behind the dartboard?
no. So like everyone is so like the way it's set up is like imagine that you have like these tables that are on ground level below the darts because like they walk out sort of like a model runway style there, and that they walk out there. The darts table is a bit elevated, so like the darts players are above the tables, and the stands maybe go up 10 rows
Yeah.
on like all sides of the U.
Imagine like you're watching a concert, right? And the dartboard, the dart stage is where they're playing, and then there's everything is around it from there, but there's nothing behind it. Nothing behind
Okay, good. That's a good safety protocol.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
No,
they
you
walk
don't
out
want
to
have
like
it.
rock star baseball walk up music, right?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, they all get to pick their own songs. And one guy at one point, we weren't there, but the next day came out to "Like a Prayer" by Madonna, which was fantastic.
Yeah, and like so most of them like they use their same songs. Like Michael Van Gerwen, who lost last night in the championship, 3-time winner, always comes out the Seven Nation Army, and half the crowd responds by chanting, "Oh, Michael Van Gerwen," and the other half of the crowd responded chanting, "Fuck Michael Van Gerwen," and it's
Yeah.
just like you start getting into some of those like. Okay, like some of these guys are big enough that they go in there. But like Van Gerwen's opponent that day, who played him very well, is this Irish guy who looked like he was from Boston more than from Ireland, came out to shipping up to Boston. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go root for you against Michael Van Gerwen. And he took a couple sets off Van Gerwen. He played very well.
Match.
Brendan Doyle, like,
Yes.
and he looks like he could be a defenseman for the Bruins.
Yeah, that's
Nice.
the best thing is you know the scene from Kingpin where they get to the National Bowling Stadium and the Amish kid that's traveling with Woody Harrelson's character goes, "These are the greatest." I'm so impressed to be in such the presence of such great athletes, and it's a bunch of dudes with beer bellies out there
Yeah.
bowling. That's what this is.
Yeah.
We saw
Yeah.
Luke Littler in the final match, who won the world championship last night as a 17-year-old, play a 54-year-old who has a tweet that, if you want to go find it, of him trying to dab like Ronaldo. And
Yeah. It was
Come on.
great. And so there's chants all night, there's singing, there's the tables are heckling the bleachers, and the bleachers heckle the tables, kind of like Wrigley Field, left field, right field.
Okay.
It's a hell of an experience. It's kind of hard to describe. I mean, there were people dressed as Kane and the Undertaker that I got pictures with. There
Yeah.
were middle-aged dudes in full-on US cheerleader outfits walking
Oh, my.
around.
I mean, we were next to 4 FC Cologne fans that
Yeah.
had full-on customized Cologne sweaters and long-sleeve shirts. There were, I'm trying to think.
There was shit talking Tottenham before that even started. Like the whole crowd
I was
started
going to say
chanting
there's a
about
lot of shit
Tottenham.
talking Tottenham there, isn't there?
Yes.
Yeah.
And, like the Alley Pally is like a mile from the Spurs Stadium. Like it's not like it is in the neighborhood of Tottenham, and everyone was going off. Even the Tottenham fans are going off on Tottenham.
Yeah.
So the one thing that it was that the one thing that you're not allowed to wear in fancy dress is our football jerseys, but we saw like a whole table of people wearing Argentina Messi kits. So we've realized that it really only just applies to English clubs. And the Broncos were playing the Bengals that night. So in retrospect, I should have just worn a Bengals jersey and Brad should have just worn a Broncos jersey and seen what would have happened.
Yeah.
But it was an experience, and I'm glad we did it. Like I'd go again. Let's put it that way. It's wild as shit, and I would absolutely do it again.
All right.
Yeah.
Recommend for any travelers going out there?
If you get the chance, yes.
All right.
So next day was Sunday. So we started the day with a proper Sunday roast at our second option because Seth, of course. By the way, if you ever get the chance to travel with Seth, dude's got everything planned. It's great. Like he had option A, option B, because option A fell through. The pub ended up not serving Sunday roast, but option B did, and it turned out to be amazing. The food was great. Pub was beautiful. Good beer. And we were in the Leighton neighborhood because we went to see third division League One Leighton Orient. They were playing Cambridge that day. And so we went for the first 55 or 60 minutes because we actually had tickets to a Premier League match afterwards. And the Leighton neighborhood is super interesting. It's very middle class, if not lower middle class for London. Very diverse food options, people. But when you get to the stadium, it was probably the most disappointing from that aspect because it was just seemingly old. A lot of older folks there who had been there forever. There is one cool part about the stadium, or two cool parts about the stadium. One is it's built into a bunch of apartments. So there in every corner, there are apartments overlooking the corner flag. So you can actually own one and just watch the game, which is wild.
And that's how they financed the stadium when they built it in 2008.
Yeah.
Is they were able to finance it that way, and that it was that they have no debt as a club because that they're just condos that people bought there, and most of them have porches that look into the stadium.
Yeah. And then the other part was they have a pregame pub that is in the stadium, which is the only one in the country that's still that's allowed, basically, because it kind of got grandfathered in. And you pay a £1 fee if you're not a member to go in, but there's 9 different cask ales. Fantastic.
They have
like real cask ales, not this,
real cask ales.
Real
Leighton's trophy wall is not actually of trophies they've won from their play on the pitch, but is that they have been the supporter bar of the year for 23 of the last 24 years. And they have the plaques that commemorate that inside their supporters club.
Once you get in, stadium holds about 10,000. It can make some noise, but we thought the atmosphere at Leighton was disappointing, to say the least. And honestly, the atmosphere of both games that day were pretty disappointing.
For very different reasons.
For very, very reasons. The Leighton game was good. In fact, they have a winger that I want to sign for Austin FC. He's fast. He can get around players. He's got a pretty interesting little first touch to him, and he's creative. Like I think he could be a really cool depth piece for us off the bench. Because as we were saying, he's probably an upper level League One player. He could probably play in the championship, which is about MLS level. I think he'd be interesting. Leighton ended up winning that game 2-0, but we left 60th minute or so to head on about a 40-minute walk or so to London Stadium where West Ham was playing Liverpool for our second my second Premier League match is Seth's first. We had the option of also going to Fulham that day, but Seth's a Liverpool fan, and I insisted. I'm like, dude, we are going to watch your team play. If you're a Liverpool fan, we have to go see your team play. Now, Seth was not allowed to cheer because we had tickets in the West Ham set.
And I had Brad on one side, and I had a very, very sweary West Ham fan on my other side, who would have kept me in check in 1 second if I had said a damn thing.
Yeah,
I was going to say there are places you can get away with that, and West Ham is not one of them.
No, so and I'm going to rank all the experiences here later, 1 through 6 for what we went to. But West Ham, okay, the stadium really sucks for watching soccer. Because it was built for the Olympics and it still has, you see where the track ring was and everything like that. So you are a mile away from the action. Now, with that said, Liverpool put on the clinic of all clinics for a soccer match that I've ever seen in my life. And I don't know that I'll ever see anything as pretty again in my existence.
I
This was
watched a lot more live soccer than you have, Brad, and that was the best team performance I've ever seen in my life.
it
I
was
thought City beating Atalanta 5-1 in Champions League was going to be the best I'd ever seen. No, that 5-0 demolishment was.
yeah.
Yeah, and
Go
5-0
ahead.
was flattering to West Ham.
Yeah, this is the match where if you didn't watch it, or if you did watch it, and maybe you don't remember, this is the match where Salah had that weird little half turn touch nutmeg that he ended up having an assist on. But the play that sticks out to me is because we had a perfect angle down the sideline of it. A Trent Alexander-Arnold outside foot 40-yard pass down the right side in stride to his teammate. Like
I just saw it.
best pass I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, he does that.
But yeah, the West Ham fans were pretty angry before the match and weren't really any happier by the end of the match. That place cleared out starting the 55th minute, to the point where there's a West Ham guy next to us, and some of the Liverpool fans, the Liverpool section, were waving at the West Ham fans leaving, and one West Ham fan started waving back at him, and the guy next to him goes, "Wait for it, wait for it," and then as the guy's waving at the Liverpool fans, he finally just turns and does the wanker sign.
Nice.
Seems like that's not the first time that's happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a good time. So Monday night we ended up at AFC Wimbledon, 4th Division League 2. So this is the team that replaced MK Dons. So original Wimbledon moved to Milton Keynes. Now had to start back over, and in 13 years they moved themselves up, or 9 years they moved themselves up from 9th Division all the way up to 4th Division League 2.
No, to League One.
League One, yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry, but they're back in League 2 now. Yeah.
Get promoted this season, so we'll see.
The game completely sucked as far as like actual soccer. This was hideous to watch. It was a street fight. The only goal I still contend was a handball. It happened right in front of us. I mean, it hit off the guy's bicep and he chicken winged it into the goal against.
Yeah,
Killing.
Seth found a clip of it and sent it to me, and that was definitely a handball.
But the atmosphere was fantastic. It holds about 9,200 people down at Wimbledon. Everybody was really, really welcoming. Pretty good beer selection out there. Stadium is loud and covered, and we were close to the Gillingham section. And the section we were sitting in apparently loves to heckle the opposing fans. So there was some pretty good heckling going on too, which was quite entertaining for a 90-minute match.
Yeah, I mean,
Good, you'll bring some of those to FC too.
I was gonna say, hearing the wheels on your house go round and round is just like,
yeah,
classic.
I mean, like there's some of this that is just okay, straight up classist. Like when a guy held up a credit card, it was like, "Have you ever seen a credit card?" It's like,
which
it's expected in Wimbledon.
Yeah, we can confirm, by the way, that Gillingham was just as bad the next game because a couple of our other folks who went out there ended up going to Gillingham the day after Seth and I left for a match, and they took the hour train right out and said it was just as terrible the next.
Yeah, they lost 3-0, and the Gillingham fans were chanting, "You're getting sacked in the morning" to their own manager.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, did he get sacked in the morning though?
Let's check. Gillingham manager.
Who's coming up?
No, he is still Mark Bonner is still the manager. Also, what's interesting about Wimbledon is I've never heard I mean, Wimbledon is doing well. They're in the promotion spots in League 2 right now, but I've never seen a team chant more for their manager than for their players because their players were playing like utter shit. But the amount of times we heard Johnny Jackson's Wimbledon as a chant going around the ground, it was just like, oh, okay, you guys really love your manager.
Literal entire last 5 minutes of the first half was that same chant just over and over.
Yeah.
So the final match we went to was on New Year's Day. New Year's Eve did not have any matches, so we just did some sightseeing and some pub crawling. Which, by the way, we ended up at a pub on New Year's Eve. The last one we ended up at was the pub where the Mayflower left from, and like the captain and them were drinking before they left to go to the New World, which is pretty interesting. But the final game we went to was a QPR. So we went to Queen's Park Rangers, which in London is kind of northwest London,
north central.
Yeah, over by Kensington Palace area.
Go north from where Chelsea is.
Yeah, so we went to Loftus
But
Road.
but a lot less bougie by like 2 or 3 blocks. Like
Definitely.
just outside the very, very bougie zone.
Yeah, we had lunch in the bougie area actually, unexpectedly. Like we had a brunch at a spot that Seth found for us that was kind of bougie in that neighborhood, and then we took a couple of train stops to where Loftus Road was, and it's just more regular middle class neighborhood. Now, Loftus Road was phenomenal. First of all, as we're walking in, it's the first like spitty, rainy day of the trip. Everything else has just been cold but dry. And so we're kind of getting spat on rainy, typical English, what you'd expect day. And as we're walking into the team store before the match, walking up the stadium, we catch a swell of heavy rain for about just a few minutes that drenches us. So it's 40 degrees outside, and now I'm wet and soaked for the match. Great. But you go into Loftus Road, and this thing looks like it's about to fall apart at any second.
Because it is.
The seats make an economy middle seat in an airline feel comfortable.
Yep.
Airlines is 3 degrees more comfortable than the seats at Loftus Road.
Yes.
Even Ryanair can't compete with Loftus Road. Holy shit.
Yeah. The stadium feels like you are playing in a pit. Like it is everything is right on top of the action. Holds 18,000 and it is a box. But it's loud. The fans were passionate. They ended up beating Watford 3-1. I thought there's like row houses, then a small break, and that small break is what you walk through to get into the gate that we walked into. Yeah, I just thought the whole QPR experience was really cool. And then like Seth said, the championship, that level of play was definitely the closest thing to MLS that we saw while we were there.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of like, what the fuck are you doing here? All you can do is sort of run around guys, but there's also some guys with skills, so it's a little MLS blendy.
Yes.
And
right.
the championship has the same amount of chaos as MLS, which says a lot.
Yes. Yeah, if you like MLS and you want to add more to that, please watch the championship and maybe, I don't know, Seth, 2 Bundesliga?
The 2 Bundesliga energy is that stuff is just the craziest table I've ever seen in my life. You never know.
Who is a good championship team that will likely stay as a championship team if people are trying to get into the championship?
Join me in my journey.
Okay,
because my English team is very much on that journey.
Yes.
So
QPR and I would say Millwall, but don't support Millwall.
No, don't support Millwall.
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, Brad,
I was thinking QPR was a good shout.
Well, yes. I might as well spoil it. I am a QPR fan now. That is my English team. Let's go Hoops. I fell in love with everything about Loftus Road. The fan base is great there, and the more I learned about the fan base, they're friends with Celtic up in Scotland. They hate Chelsea.
Everybody hates Chelsea.
They actually used to have a proper derby with Chelsea. They just haven't played them in 20 years.
Yeah. But also Chelsea apparently is friends with their fans are friendly with Rangers up in Scotland. Fuck Rangers. So it's just everything I could want. They're a team that is aggressively mediocre.
Yes, that's a good description.
And they were a team that had no problem quitting once they found out that they avoided relegation many years ago in a way that.
And then the next season they gave Man U shit about it.
Yeah, they did.
There's a level of petty that
they quit and let City win, and then gave United shit about it.
Yeah, stadium that might fall apart on your head at any moment. Passionate fan base, really interesting little but fun middle class neighborhood. They get involved with their community from what I've been able to find out and read on. Fun chants, loud, energetic atmosphere. I loved it. I loved QPR. I loved how accessible the stadium was as far as getting there in the city. I love that they're probably never going to be anything more than a lower level Premier League team whenever they eventually get back up and just get knocked right back down. And that's fine. Give me that. So, yes, I'm a QPR fan for my entire life of 5 days. And, I don't know how you guys would understand the depth of appreciation I have for this team being such a longtime fan. But you will get there with your clubs in England, I promise you.
One day. All right,
I've
quick
already
hitters
ordered.
for
I have
you
already
guys.
ordered, by the way, a kit, a jacket, and a hat, along with my.
Nice.
Okay.
Yes.
And I'll say that a bunch of the others, including some other Austin FC fans who joined us, had such a good time that they got tickets for Monday night against QPR against Luton Town.
Yes, they're going back.
Nice.
Ooh, that'll be fun. Well, and you can start the QPR Austin fan club.
Yeah, the closest one apparently is in San Antonio, so that could be done. So final
Closer than I would
rankings.
expect, actually.
Final rankings based on atmosphere and whole shebang. We'll start at the bottom. West Ham was the worst.
Yes.
I'm gonna say
I was very happy that it was the worst. By the way.
sure.
Because that was spectacular.
Now, to be fair, 5 of the 6 home teams won, and we were always rooting for the home team except for West Ham. So basically, every team I went to go root for, they won. So that was fun.
Yes.
But the stadium sight lines were bad. I just didn't really have much of a pregame vibe to it because it's in the Olympic Park, and it's right next to a giant mall.
The mall does have a casino in it, but the casino
that was
NFL. It only showed darts on one of their 10 sportsbook TVs.
Yeah. And I don't know. Their fans were kind of angry, which doesn't hit. And the thing is, you have angry fans and a logo with hammers, and yet you come out to a song singing about bubbles that you played at least 3 times. Like, it made no sense.
Well, 2 other things you have to nominate. So West Ham does have a few trophies, including the longest named trophy on earth here, the 2023 Europa Conference League champions. Congratulations, West Ham, for being the first team to ever win that trophy. But one of their 6 trophies that they list along the stadium is the 1940 War Cup. Like, how is that a thing? Like, that is like. I mean, I will say it is more recent than the than the most recent Texas A&M national championship in football, but still, it is. But I also had joy in explaining to Brad what was the because West Ham did win the 64 FA Cup, which is a real cup. Okay, we'll give them that. But they also won the 65 European Cup Winners' Cup, which was a fantastic tournament that used to exist, and I assume both of you guys are aware of, but might need to explain.
I felt like it was
Yeah,
I always felt like it was the most aptly named tournament. Like,
So next on the list, as far as the 5th rank, would be Leyton Orient. It has so much potential. Leyton has potential to just be a really, really great League One atmosphere, moving up to the championship eventually. But the fan base, like, they had just an older fan base that sat on their hands too much. Stadium and everything else, I thought was fine. Nice little indoor bar that was warm with a pretty good selection of beers too, things like that. But they miss out on some stuff. 4th, and only because it's small, and it's a very laid back, like, family atmosphere, Dulwich Hamlet. Like, it's the most unique experience of the trip, but it's got to be one where you're there for, like, really wanting to see something different. Because if you're looking for the chanting, raucous atmosphere, that's not what it's going to be. But I did enjoy the trip to Dulwich. There's a tie for 2 because I thought these were pretty level. I thought Wimbledon and Arsenal were really close to the same. But obviously the scale is different when one stadium holds 9,000, the other holds 60,000. But I thought Arsenal was fantastic. The pregame atmosphere, the pubs, everybody was super welcoming, great conversations, good drinks. Crowd was enthused and energetic despite it being kind of a shit game. And Wimbledon was the same way. So I really enjoyed both of those. And then, of course, number 1, my long love of QPR is top of the list.
But we all knew that's what you were going to pick.
Yeah, well, when we got there, it was going to be QPR.
We were trying to go to Luton instead of QPR, and then we ended up turning Brad into a QPR supporter.
Yes, and it's funny. I got online and I told I got like on a thread somewhere, and I was like, got in with some our QPR fans. I'm like, hey, just want to say I came to the game today. The experience was great. I'm now a QPR fan. And some people are like, you have no idea the sadness you've signed up for. I'm like, I'm a Colorado Rockies fan. It can't be any worse. I can promise you, it can't be worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was.
Counterpoint, it can be worse. You can be an A's fan and you don't know where your team's going to be playing in 2 years.
I wasn't going to say that. I was thinking about it, but.
But
all right,
yeah, overall trip was great. And I think as a guy who just got into the game a few years ago, right? And really started following closer on the MLS level, I have a new appreciation, I think, for international soccer. And just the community that it drives, because here all of our teams are within big cities, right? Whereas you see QPR is a neighborhood. Chelsea is literally a neighborhood, and Arsenal's the same way. Like it's, I think that was maybe the most interesting aspect of all this, and the pride that each neighborhood takes into their teams.
And Arsenal has their own tube stop.
Correct.
Yeah. All right, Seth and Brad, we're gonna do a quick hitter and then we're gonna play a game. Seth, best thing you ate on the trip.
Best thing I ate on the trip. Ooh.
We might have the same answer here.
Yeah, I would say, oh God, we have a lot of good choices. Like we didn't do any like Michelin type things. We didn't do anything there. But I would say the Sunday roast we had up in Layton, that I had a what you call it, some lamb there with everything else. That was just outstanding. It was well seasoned, well dressed. Like that was outstanding.
Yeah. Mine was we stumbled into a Lebanese restaurant on New Year's Eve and had some whipped feta that was to die for.
Yes.
I still think it's the second best whip feta I've had in my life. If you guys have been to Abba in Austin, I think Abba's is slightly better. So I'm setting Brad and Carrie on a date night there at some point.
Yeah.
Oh, Abba's amazing. That is one of my favorite places to go to.
Yeah. We also had an amazing paella at Borough Market where they looked at you and go, for 5 more pounds, we'll give you a shrimp or a prawn the size of your hand. And
yeah,
well, of course
I saw your photo of that and I was like, I'm glad you guys went to Borough.
Yeah, we
was
went
a
to
fun
about
experience.
we ate 3 or 4 different stands at Borough Market. It was great.
Nice. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna play a game now that Brad is a expert on all things British. So I'm gonna say a word in British English and I want you to translate it to American.
Okay.
So give like a little bit of a pause before your answer. So people playing on the, at home on the podcast can kind of answer to themselves too. So like if I say soccer, or if I say football, you would say soccer.
Got
right?
it.
Okay. So the first one we're gonna go with is lorry.
That is a truck.
Thank you, Seth. And Brad, if you don't know, like shake your head or say something, then we'll let
Yeah,
one
I
of the
definitely did not know.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought only Brad was answering. Never mind.
Okay.
No, I definitely did not know.
All right, yeah, Brad, if you don't know, say pass or something like that.
Okay.
I was intentionally giving you a few seconds as well. So
Yeah. Biscuit.
Cookie.
Cookie, correct. Banger or banger in the mouth.
So I know bangers and mash, but it's a food thing. I just don't know what it is.
Okay. Scott, you want to go?
It's a sausage.
It is correct. That is a sausage. Boot, as in the boot of a car.
the boot is a trunk.
Oh, it's a shoe, isn't it?
No, Seth's correct. It's the trunk.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I was thinking boots like soccer boots. Sorry.
Okay.
There's
accurate
There's
enough.
there's a really great pun usage in Ted Lasso of boots.
Yes, there is.
Yes.
I will say also shout out to even under the festive period, London's transit system. We took probably 15 different trains, a ton of different bus routes. Like it is nice to have like a real global city with a functioning transit system.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's very underrated. All right, crisps.
Oh, those are chips.
Yep. I'm not going to ask you chips because that one's obvious, but aubergine.
No idea.
Seth, Scott.
Isn't
Aubergine.
it an eggplant?
Yep. Eggplant. Wellies.
Also, no idea.
I don't even.
Seth?
No, I
You
don't.
look confused, Scott?
I've never
Oh,
heard
the
of that.
rain boots.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
So like the boot you wear kind of splashing about in the rain.
Oh.
Why did you guys would get that? All right, we got like 15 more of these, and I'm trying to do the easy ones first, so this might get fun.
Okay.
Knackered.
these are the easy ones. Okay.
Yeah.
What was the next one?
Knackered.
Oh, that's drunk, isn't it?
Could be.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Closer to like tired, but I think it works for drunk too.
Yeah.
I expect you to probably get this one because I'm sure you met a couple. Stag do.
Oh, that's like a bachelor party, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay.
Plunker.
Plunker?
Plunker. Plonker.
I have no idea.
Seth or Scott?
I think it's like an idiot or like a moron. Yeah.
Yep. Like fool, silly person, something like that. Tottenham.
Shit.
Correct. Q.
Line.
Chemist.
Chemist?
This is a pharmacist, yeah.
Oh, that's a pharmacist.
Chemist.
Yeah. I saw that. Yeah.
Yep. Peckish.
Or like peckish is hungry, like, right?
Yep.
Want to eat something?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Pants.
Or
Pants?
underwear.
Yep, pants. Seth got it. It's
Yeah,
underwear. They say trousers for what we would call pants.
Oh.
Chuffed.
Pissed off?
Nope.
No, like
Seth,
chuffed
Scott.
is usually
Like
slightly delighted.
Yeah. Like mildly
Yeah.
amused.
Yes.
yeah, I was trying to think of like a good like American translation of that.
Yeah. And obviously we're kind of like going off vibes here. Pub quiz.
There's a difference between an American pub quiz?
Well, I mean, it's like a trivia night.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was like, that's a
I
difference.
was like, what?
Yeah.
Specky twat.
No clue.
Seth, Scott.
Specky twat is someone with glasses that you want to smack in the face.
Yes, an annoying person with glasses. We got a couple more. What is a hen party?
Glasses.
A what?
A hen party.
Oh, that's a bachelorette party.
Yep. What is a subway?
Like their
Underground
subway or
plastic
our
bubble.
subway?
Their subway.
There's
Like-
some ways, yeah, it's like you walk
It's-
under a tunnel under the street.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like an underground walk.
Oh, okay.
I got two more for you. Ticket tout.
Ticket tout.
Scalper.
Yeah, scalpers.
Scalper. Yep. All right, last one. You probably will get this one. I know Seth mentioned it earlier. Fancy dress.
Oh, that's like dressing up in costumes. Yes.
Yeah, like costume party type
Yes.
of thing. Okay, cool. I think you did pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also I learned a term for like friend or buddy at Arsenal, but I forgot the name of it now.
There are a lot of them.
Yeah.
I'm not your pal, friend.
I'm not your buddy, mate. All right. I forgot what else we were going to do on here, but
I mean,
I
we've been
think
on
we're pretty
here for
close
over
to
100
done.
minutes, so yeah.
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 All right, Brad. So where do you see QPR ending up this year as we wrap this up?
Aggressively mediocre. We're going to stay up, and that is the key. We're several
Stay
points.
safe.
We're several points above the line right now. We have won 4 straight at home. Going to be 5 straight if we kick Luton Town's ass and get them back down to League One where they fucking belong. And
Yeah.
we're good. You don't come into Loftus Road and beat QPR. I'm sorry, it just doesn't happen. The hoops will fucking rain.
I would fucking die for this ground. I was
Absolutely.
born here.
Brad, can you do the QPR goal song already?
Da, 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 hoops. Da, 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 hoops. Yeah, it's pretty simple.
All right, cool. I think we're going to end on
And
that.
then there's also
We should end on that. That was perfect.
Queen's Park Rangers when you win. It's great.
All right. Yeah, we'll see if you can add a couple more of those as we do things throughout the year. Just throw in random QPR chants and stuff. But yeah, we're going to end on that note. So on behalf of Seth, lifetime QPR fan, Brad, and Scott, thanks for suffering with us. Bye.
Promise here for Austin Jarrett Stroud. It's Diego for goodness! He has written his name into Austin folklore.
They just won't go away.
Oh, he hits the upright again! That's impossible!
The Bears' season's going to end on a double doink.
Altidore squares it. Dempsey's missed it. Donovan has it. From hope, there is glory.